Good morning, dear children. Good morning, good morning, everybody. Um, let's start our class by school prayer by Rufa Hana. Rufa, can you lead us in prayer?
Good morning, Miss.
Good morning, Rufa.
Okay. Miss, shall I start?
Yes, please.
Heavenly Father, creator of the universe, sustainer of the world, provider of all good gifts, and giver of life, accept our praise and worship. Grant me the serenity to accept the daily task, the wisdom to work, the courage to stand up to truth, the obedience and the faith to please Thee at all times. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Rufa. Okay, to make it more exciting, we'll just sing a small hymn, which each one of you know that we did practice during our graduation last year, right? So we'll sing Great is Thy Faithfulness. For that, if you would know the lyrics, or maybe if you can sing very well, you can join us. Kindly do so. Everybody can join us. Okay? Yes.
Michelle?
Michelle? Michelle? Is Michelle in the call?
No, Miss.
No? Okay. Okay. As it's getting late, we'll proceed. Okay. We'll start with the song. Great
Great
is thy
faithfulness,
faithfulness, O
O
God, my Father. There is no shadow of turning with thee. Thou changes not, thy compassions fail not.
no,
As thou hast been, oh, will ever will be. Join us, children.
great,
Great is thy
great,
faithfulness. Great
great,
is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hands that provided. Great is thy faithfulness,
Look,
Lord, unto me. Thank you, children. This song was more appropriate for me to choose because, in spite of these pandemic, in spite of the situations around us, God is being so faithful in our lives. As as a Tunbridge family, we are hale and healthy today. It's purely because of His grace. So I chose a song so that it would be more appropriate that we praise our God for His faithfulness in our lives, that we are not affected by any kind of COVID 19, and we are hale and healthy today. Okay, we'll move on to our class. So, here today's topic I have taken as capital and capital formation. Okay, it's going to be more interesting because we are going to get into deep. So, I want you to think how it works and what would you do if you are a businessman to invest a capital. Once you know what is capital formation, maybe you would also have an idea how does a businessman work. Okay, this is something very important in factors of production. We do have 4 factors of production. Out of that, this is one of the important factors. Let's proceed. Capital and capital formation. First thing we need to know, what is capital, even before we know the other things. So we'll proceed to the next slide. Yeah, I would request Archana Jayashree. Archana, can you unmute your mic, please? Archana, are you there? I can see you. Archana Jayashree.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Can you kindly read it for me, Archana?
Yes, ma'am. In economics, capital consists of assets that can enhance fund power to perform economically useful work. For example, a stone or an arrow is a capital for a hunter-gatherer who can use it as a hunting instrument. Similarly, roads are capital for inhabitants of a city.
Yes. So here you see that this definition has been very clear, which tells us a personal capital and the social capital. In what ways I'm saying is, in economics, capital consists of assets that can enhance one power to perform economically useful work. So in ninth standard, we did study what is economic factors, what is non-economic factors, isn't it? Anything which is dealing with money becomes an economic factors, correct? So here, in order to do any kind of dealings with economic factors, we do need capital. So there is one example which is given to you here, that is a stone or an arrow is capital for an hunter, because by hunting alone he earns his livelihood. Mean to say, in order to feed himself, he has to hunt and then eat. Right? So arrow and the stone and the arrow becomes is capital. For an example of being a doctor, a stethoscope becomes his capital. The hospital, maybe any kind of equipment becomes is capital. Okay, and also they've given you the other examples. They've told you that roads are capital for inhabitant of a city. So it talks about the state, it talks about the country. Road becomes something which is social capital. That is the capital for us. Okay, now we know what is capital, so we'll proceed with the next slide. Okay, here are the characteristics of capital. Before me proceeding, I want to ask you a question. Did you understand what is capital, or you want me to give few more examples? You can give me a message in chat so I would understand. Did you all understand what is capital? Yes, Rufa is saying yes. Kushal is saying yes. Yes. So we'll proceed. Yes, ma'am. Understood. Very good. So we'll proceed with the characteristics of capital. So here under the characteristics of capital, the first point says man-made factors. So why are they considering capital to be a man-made factor? Can anyone unmute your mic and answer me? Yes, children? Anybody there?
Means they are telling because of the previous example
Mm-hmm.
that a hunter needs a bullet and gun something with. So that is made by human only, no miss.
Yes, exactly. Right? If you consider to be land under the factors of production, we do have four factors, isn't it? When I say land, of course, it's not man-made. It is nature, correct? But here, whereas it is capital is created by man, his past labor, which will be created as a capital for factors of production. Correct? So it is man made. Capital is man made. What is mobile and transferable? Are they talking about mobile phones? Anybody to answer me? Mohammad Azan says man made factors, deforestation. Yes. Yeah, they deforest, they cut down all the trees, correct? Kushalpi says because man should work. Okay. Who can answer this mobile and transferable? So they're talking about mobile phone, if I'm not wrong, correct? No answer. Mobility. Saida says mobility and movement. I want Saida to unmute your mic and answer me.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Saida. Tell me, what is mobility?
Movement, ma'am. That capital has
Mhm.
mm, capital cannot move, ma'am. It should be a like it's a formation, ma'am.
It cannot move. You mean to say, suppose when I'm going to shift maybe from this place to another place, I cannot take my capital with me?
You can, ma'am.
Ah, then it should be given as immobile, isn't it?
Yes,
Right?
ma'am.
So, mobile is something that capital can be movable from one place to another. It is also transferable. Okay? So, mobile means maybe for an example, for an instance, I'm actually shifting myself elsewhere. I would sell all my goods and services, which is considered to be capital, which I'm using for a business, and I'm going to take that capital with me elsewhere. Can you, is land a mobile factor? Can I carry the land elsewhere? No, correct. Correct, Paul. No, you cannot carry the land, the other factors of production, but capital is something that it is movable and it is also transferable. From my name, I can also transfer it to somebody else. What is depreciates? Depreciation. Here I've got devalue. Very good. Hazan is telling devalue. Moksha is telling decrease. Yes. Saida is saying ending. Okay. Mohammad Azan says cheap. Okay. For an example, today I'm going to buy a television, okay, which will be costing me 1 lakh. It's an LED television. So what I do, maybe I didn't like the features, maybe I didn't like how it is made, or maybe I didn't like the company because people are suggesting saying that it's not a good company. So I want to return it back. Will I get the actual value tomorrow if I'm going to give it back? No. But why? In one day, what it matters? I would have not used much. I would have not done anything with it. And what's the point? It's just brand new as it is. Anyone can answer me. Good morning, children. Hope we are awake.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Shezan, but I can't hear you answering.
Ma'am, well, when I understand, I will answer, ma'am.
Okay, Shezan. What about the others? Rufa says because the rate of product are increasing day by day. Okay, in one day. What happens to that particular product? Its value comes down, right? Even in one day, some shops or even in 1 hour when you return it back, they don't accept it. They reduce the value and they give you only the reduced value. That is the depreciates. It loses its value, right? So here the capital also is same. Imagine those days they would have invested 50,000, just 50,000 as a capital. Can I invest the same to start up a same business now? Will it be possible?
No, ma'am.
With this, no, right? The money value has changed, right? So now 50,000 is nothing. You can't do anything with that. You can't, maybe you can start up a small scale industry, but we cannot start up the same business what I have started maybe 2 decades back, right? So it has a depreciates value. What do you mean by passive factors, children? Capital is a passive factor. Yeah, Paul, sorry. Prajwal says land doesn't produce anything on its own. It is a passive factor. It needs capital labor. Exactly, you're right. Michelle says land capital. Okay. Kushal says land does not produce anything. Correct? Yes. So passive factor, it's something. Yeah, Mohammad Azan says capital cannot produce anything on itself. Capital is a passive factor. You're right. Since capital is a passive factor, it cannot do anything on its own, right? It needs an help of the laborer. It needs an help of an entrepreneur, maybe, to do any kind of productive things, right? So it cannot produce anything on its own. That's why they consider it capital to be considered to be a passive factors. Suppose I'm having 1 lakh of rupees in my bank account, maybe an amount of 1 lakh. Okay, I'm just keeping it as an idle. There is no entrepreneur, there are no laborers, there is no factory. Is it even considered to be a capital? Is it considered to be a capital? No, correct. Unless you use it for a further production, it cannot be considered to be a capital. So it needs an help of an entrepreneur, laborer, and the land, the other factors of production. Okay, we'll move on to the next. So here is a video which is going to tell you the difference between the resources. Here, it's not going to tell you only the capital resource. It's also going to explain you the other resource. It's something very interesting. You can watch. Sorry for that.
Hello, boys and girls. Today, we will learn about resources. What are resources? Let's find out.
A resource is something that people use to meet their needs. Think about the things you do every day. You brush your teeth. You eat food.
Yummy!
You travel from one place to another. In order to do these things, you need resources.
What kind of resources?
There are 3 main types of resources: human resources, capital resources, and natural resources. Human resources are people who provide a service.
A service? What does that mean?
A service is something that someone does for you. Doctors help people feel better when they are sick. They are an important human resource.
People need doctors in order to stay healthy.
That's right. Human resources are also people who make goods. Goods are things that you use, eat, or drink. Chefs are human resources that make goods for people to eat.
What about capital resources?
Capital resources are goods that are made and used to provide a service. When you go to a restaurant, you are served food. But did you know that there are special tools and equipment needed to make your food?
Like stoves?
Exactly. Stoves, pots, and cooking utensils, such as knives, are capital resources. Chefs need them in order to do their jobs.
Great! And what are natural resources?
Natural resources are things that are found on Earth and can be used by people.
We can use water, plants, and soil.
You've got it. Natural resources come from nature. They are not made by people.
How does your family use different types of resources? Let us know in the comments below.
Let's review.
A resource is something that people use to meet their needs. There are three main types of resources: human resources, capital resources, and natural resources.
Human resources are people who provide a service.
Capital resources are goods that are made and used to provide a service. Natural resources are things that are found on Earth and can be used by people.
A service is something that someone does for you.
Goods are things that you use, eat, or drink. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.
Okay. So, what did you see? What are the resources that the video was so simple to understand, isn't it? So, what are the three resources that you saw there?
Human resource, capital resource, natural resource.
Wonderful. So there are three resources, isn't it? We actually wanted to know only the capital resource, but we did learn the other two resources also by this video, if I'm not wrong. Correct? Yes, Rufa, you're right. Moksha, correct? Saida, very good. Hema, yes. Okay, good. Humeya, Diba, Shima, everyone have answered me. Fine. So, okay. Can one of you tell me what is human resource? And also give me one example, maybe in simple words.
Ma'am, barber, ma'am.
Tell me, sorry.
Ma'am, human resource, one example is barber, ma'am. We
Barber.
use
Okay. Okay. Yes, he's providing us the service. Correct. Rufa says it's profession. Paul says it's service of people. Michelle says human resource are used for our needs. Okay, correct. Moksha says people who provide services. You're right. Human resource provides services. Profession. Adiba says profession. Saida says human resource are the resource which provides services. Exactly right. What is the second resource that we learned? Capital resource. Yes, exactly. There are so many who's telling me capital. Rufa, Umayadiba, Saida. Yes, Ganesh. Very good. Right. So we did learn what is capital resources, which is very much related to the topic that we are talking today, correct? So who's going to tell me what is capital resources? Moksha says that are made and used, right? That is made and used. You're right. Prajwal says capital resources are the goods used by the laborers. Okay, correct. Mohammed Azan says the things which are made for our needs. Okay. The resources that are made for our services. Yes. Paul says goods made and used by people. Sorry. Michelle says an example of capital resources are utensils. So it's a capital for what, Michelle? Utensils? What profession? What services? For a chef. Perfect. Yes. For hotels. Yes, correct. Okay. Any other examples for capital resources? Yes, it is an economic concept. You're right. Sorry. Anybody else? Mohammed Azan, pens. That's for students? Yes, correct. Okay. So then we are moving on to the third resources that we learned. Hemashri says goods produced and used to make other goods and services. You're right. Prajwal says it's natural resources are the needs created by the nature to fulfill our needs. Exactly right. Mohammed Adnan says man-made elements. You're right. The natural resources are made by us, right? It cannot be cultivated automatically by land, okay? Because land is also considered to be a passive factors. You're right. Right? Okay, we'll move on to the next slide. Since we know what is capital, we know what is capital resources. Okay, so I'm just going to ask you one question here. Suppose I am the business woman, Okay. I have 2 houses, 3 factories. I don't know if I would have asked you this question in the class. 3 factories, 2 houses, 1 car for my personal use, and 1 car for my factory use. Out of this, which is capital? Prajwal, car. Okay, Moksha says factory is a capital. Car for factories use, correct? Car for factories use is called capital. Yes. Michelle says factories, correct? So you know to differentiate now what is capital and what is our personal assets, isn't it? No, so we know. And there is also saying in your economics that you learned before about the capital, right? Can I know what is the saying that we learned by Professor Marshall? Do you all remember? Oh, ma'am, that was last year. We forgot. Am I right? Right? Who can tell me? All capital can be considered to be wealth, but all wealth cannot be considered to be capital. What do you understand by this? Waiting for your answers. Waiting for your answers. Did you understand? You want me to repeat it? All capital can be considered to be wealth, but all wealth cannot be considered to be capital. Yes, you understood. But tell me now, you can take the same example which I told you that I have 2 houses and factories and cars. So what do you understand by this statement? Come on. Moksha says capital consists of those kinds of wealth other than free gifts of nature, which is yield income. Okay. But how is it supporting the statement? The statement says all capital, I'll repeat it again for you. All capital can be considered to be, sorry, all, yeah, right. All capital can be considered to be wealth, but all wealth cannot be considered to be capital. Shima says, like, ma'am, your personal use car is not capital. Exactly. Paul says wealth cannot be capital as it is our living. So when I say I have capital, if you're going to talk about me, I did give you the examples. All of this, what I have is my wealth, right? Including the capital which I had, that is factories and cars, which is used for the business purposes. It is also to be considered to be my capital, right? Sorry, wealth. But I cannot consider my 2 house which I'm using for my personal use and the car which I'm using for my personal use to be considered to be a capital. So all capital can be considered to be wealth, but all wealth cannot be considered to be capital. Great. Okay. Mohammad Azan says, Rufa says factory cars are wealth and it's capital, but the personal car is not capital. You're right. Mohammad Azan Pasha, personal uses are not capital. Exactly. So we're going to move on to the types of capital. You can see there are about 11 factors that we are going to see, 11 types of capital. So here I have explained into different aspects. At fixed capital, I've given you the examples and I'm expecting the definition from you. And maybe it varies from the next point. First, answer me this. Fixed capital. I've given you the examples. What is fixed capital? Yes, come on, children. It's fine if your answers are wrong. What is fixed capital? Mohammad Azan says money that we invest into assets of a durable nature. Rufa says things that are mandatory. Okay. Michelle says money invested in fixed assets. My question is, what is fixed asset? You have land here, you have building here, you have equipments here, you have factories, furnitures. Something is very common in all of these. Paul says capital which does not change. Yeah, you're closer to the answer. Yes, furniture, it's there. Land, yes. Moksha says fixed capital refers to the producers. Goods having long life which can be used again and again. Very good, Moksha. That's the answer. So if you look into it, Rufa also says we need all these things in a business. Shima says land. Paul says the asset which are mandatory for living. According to Moksha, what she said is right. Fixed capital refers to the producers, goods having long life, okay, which can be used again and again. If you take land, it can be used again and again. Buildings can be used again and again, isn't it? Equipments also, it doesn't have a short life, it has a long life, which we can be using. So that becomes a fixed asset. And not only that, it acquires a asset value over it, right? So if I have land, building, equipments, factory, furniture, it means that I have an assured asset value with me. But if I have raw materials, or maybe I have a can of petrol, or maybe I have some other goods, it cannot be considered to be fixed capital. As it is, it doesn't acquire any fixed capital, right? We'll move on to next. Working capital. So here is a definition for you, the other way around. There you saw the examples. Here you're seeing the definition, but you need to give me the examples. It says the cash available for day-to-day operations of an organization. Strictly speaking, one borrows cash and not working. Yes. What is working capital? Come on, children, give me examples here. I think I did say a few points to explain fixed capital. Moksha says petrol and diesel, you're right. Adnan says funds, maybe short-term funds, you're right. Prajwal says cash, yes, liquidity cash, correct. Paul says daily wages of laborers, you're right, Paul, right? Hemashri, help each other, printing ink, inventory, very good, you're right. Inventory becomes the stock, it depends on what kind of stocks, yes, you're right. Right? Equipments, no, Rufa. Equipment comes as a fixed assets. Okay? Goods, inventory is goods that can be considered to be different. Yes. So working capital that we spend our day-to-day expenses. Maybe paying wages to the laborers, maybe, buying some kind of raw materials, which is perishable easily. It cannot come for a long, it getting exhausted within a year or so, right? So that is considered to be a working capital. We'll move on to next. Yes. You have something called as constant capital, that is nothing but the variable fixed capital, and you also have something called as opposite of fixed capital, which is also the same, similar to working capital. Here are the examples which is given to you. Circulating capital and working capital are the same. It says raw materials, fuel, auxiliary material, work is wages, right? We just discussed about it. Okay, we'll move on to the sunk capital and the floating capital. Yes, I want one of you to read for me before you go to sleep. Shezan, can you read it for me? Syed Shezan.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Shezan. Read it for me, Shezan.
Yes, ma'am. Sunk capital is that category of
Category.
category of capital which can be used to produce only one type of commodity or service. Examples: an ice factory, oil mill, etc.
Correct. Next
Floating
point.
capital. Floating
Mm-hmm.
capital includes all such items which can be put all alternate uses. The
Mm-hmm.
use of such commodities is not restricted for any specific
Purpose, right? Yeah, correct.
purpose.
Thank you, Shezan. So
Thank you, ma'am.
you see that the definition is very clear, and I've given you also two examples there. Who can explain with an example? I want to choose someone who's not speaking at all. Let me search. Is Syed Arfat here in the call? No. Okay. Ganesh, can you speak up, please? Ganesh?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Ganesh. Can you explain the first sunk capital alone, please? I've given you an example of that as well.
Hmm. Ma'am, ice factory produce only ice.
Ganesh, I can't hear you. Maybe you can keep your mic a little far from your mouth. Yeah,
Ma'am, ice factory produces only ice, ma'am.
exactly. Right? So here, sunk capital says that it is the category of a capital which can produce only one type of commodity. So an ice factory produces only ice. And what is the second example given there? Ganesh, are you here? Okay, no
Oil
problem.
mill, ma'am.
Oil mill, right? They produce only oil there, right? Okay, who's the next person who's going to explain? Ihab, Muhammad Ihab, Muhammad Ihab, Muhammad Ihab, are you there? I think he's gone to sleep. Moksha says sunk capital cannot be shifted to another use. Exactly. Cannot have any kind of alternative use. Muhammad Adnan, can you speak up? What is floating capital? Can an ice factory make an ice cream? No, ma'am. It can only produce ice. No. Okay. Shima is answering for it. Good. Okay. It's restricted, right? Correct. Who else can answer? Mohammad Azan Pasha? Mohammad Azan? Hurry up. Adnan is not speaking up. So we need to check on these guys. Are they really there in the call? But Azan just answered. Rufa, steel, wood, raw materials are examples of floating capital. You're right. I didn't understand this one, miss. Okay, Azan is giving me an answer in the chat. Yeah. Okay. Maybe somebody else. It's the opposite of sunk capital. I've given you an example also there. It is something very easy. Shima, can you try on this? Shima Sadia? Yes, you're giving me the answer in the chat, but why don't you unmute and talk? Rufa is also giving me an example of leather. Yes, Shima. Paul says it can be used for various purposes. Yes.
Ma'am,
Yes, Shima. Yes, Shima.
ma'am, like leather can be used in making different things. Like, for example, there's jacket, shoes, purse,
Hmm.
etc.
Yes. So, with one commodity as a raw material, you see that it is not restricted or it is not used only for one specific purpose. There are so many commodities which is being produced, right? There are bags, there are pouches, right? Hats, right? Belts, shoes, right? Even the ball, right? There are so many purposes with one particular product. Did you all understand, children? Okay, we'll move on to the next. Sana has given me an example of floating capital is like a leather, can be used for different purposes. You're right, Sana. You're right. Okay, we'll move on to the money and a real capital. So, real capital talks about exactly the commodities which are used directly on a business, on a production aspects. Okay, they've given you the definition here. It says factories, machines, equipments becomes the actual connection directly with the production. So that is a real capital. But money capital are the funds to acquire the real capital. In order to satisfy, or maybe in order to use a machine, we need the laborers, right? So to use the machine, we need the laborers. So we are paying wages to the laborers. So that is money capital. But real capital, which is actually directly dealing with the production, that can be factories, machines, and equipments, whatever is used for the production. Even the raw material comes under money capital. Okay, there are examples given to you. Real capital, financial capital, and money capital is the same. The means of production. So there they have given you an equipment which is being used. There in financial capital, in that is money capital, they have given you an example of used to purchase the means of production. That can be raw material, lubricant oil, or petrol, or diesel, whatever is used, that can come under money capital. We'll go ahead. So this is something very important that we each one of us know. I did explain even in the first point. Here we're going to talk about the private capital and social capital. Private capital is the money provided to a business as a loan investments that does not come from an institutional source such as a bank or a government entities, from a public through selling stock or exchange. So here by the word private itself, we understand what it means. It completely doesn't involve the government in it, right? So it provides the sources, it provides the loan from completely a private institution. Okay, so here the government is not involved. Okay, so that is private capital. Maybe selling the stocks, whatever. Suppose I'm having a business, I'm selling my stocks, or maybe I'm selling my shares. It becomes a private capital because it belongs to me. It doesn't come under any of the government property or government entities, right? So we'll move on to the social capital. Social capital is effective function of social groups. Moksha is giving me an answer. Industries belonging to Tatas and Brillas. Example of private capital. Very good, Moksha. Keep it up. Yes, you're right. That is private capital. So social capital is the effective functions of social groups through interpersonal relationship, a shared sense of identity, a shared understanding, shared norms, shared values, trust, cooperation, and reciprocity. And social capital is a measure of value of resources, both tangible and intangible, right? What is tangible and intangible? What are they talking about? Tangible and intangible? Okay, tell me. Are actors a human capital for us? They've given you an example there. Do you agree with that? Do you agree with that? Yes, ma'am, Shezan. How are they a human capital to us, children? How are they human capital to us? Social, we know what is private capital. Now it's going to be the opposite. Yes, Shima says they entertain us. Exactly right. So Mohammad Azan says tangible is something that can be measured. You can also say something that we can touch and feel, right? Intangible is something we cannot touch or feel. We can only feel, but we cannot touch, right? Right? So tangible is something that you can feel, that maybe can be a product, it can be anything. Whereas intangible is maybe the feelings, the support, maybe the passion, or maybe, anything which considered that cannot be touched but only felt, right? So here the social capital talks about the general capital which belongs to everybody. It doesn't belong to a private capital. Maybe the roads can be the point I did explain. The roads can be considered to be a social capital for us, right? A country's capital. It is our country's capital. Metros, metro stations, all kind of infrastructure development is considered to be our capital. That is a social capital. Okay, so you all understood what's the difference between private and social? By the word itself, we can understand it more better, isn't it? Yes, Moksha, good. We'll go on to the national and international. Here also the word says it all. But even then, I would proceed explaining. International capital market provides a forums and mechanisms for governments, companies, and people to borrow or invest across the national boundaries. So if the World Bank is actually providing us some kind of financial assistance, it becomes an international capital because we are borrowing from the other countries, isn't it? That is apart from the national, boundaries, right? So the borrowings and invest is done throughout the world. It becomes the international capital. Whereas national capital, it becomes within the geographical area. Maybe, say, they have given you an example of cities, metropolis, urban centered, densely polluted urban areas, right? All this comes in within the geographical areas. Okay. Now, we need to know, we know what is capital, we did know what is capital, types of capital, but we need to also know what is capital formation, right? For that, we'll look into this video.
What is capital formation? Capital formation refers to the increase in the stock of real capital in an economy during an accounting period. In other words, it is the creation of things that help us produce more. The term capital accumulation has the same meaning as capital formation. Capital accumulation involves the creation of more capital goods. We use capital goods to make products and provide services. In economics, capital means the factors of production that we use to create goods. Examples of capital goods include office buildings, equipment, tools, machinery, computers and computing technology, furniture and fixtures, factory, and vehicles. A country uses capital stock together with labor to produce goods. Capital formation occurs when this capital stock increases. The greater the capital formation of an economy is, the faster it can grow its aggregate income. That is, when a country's capital formation increases, its production rises and the country gets richer. On a national scale, levels of capital formation are closely tied to levels of savings. When people, companies, and other entities save more, capital formation levels rise. Conversely, when they save less, capital formation declines. Capital formation follows a process of 3 steps. First, growth in the volume of real savings. Second, savings mobilization through credit and financial institutions. And third, investment of savings. Hence, the formation of capital is not just a question of saving more, but also using those savings to boost production. Thank you for watching this Market Business News video on capital.
Okay. So what did you see in the video, children? What did they talk about? What is capital formation now? Yes. Azan says, the things that help us to produce more, factors of production, vehicles. Yes, you're right. Thank you, Ms. Ria. So here you see that, what is capital formation? I've spoken much. Now I want the answer from you. Come on, children. What is capital formation? What did you see here in the video? No answers? You all didn't understand the video? Azan did say the things that help us to produce more. You're right, Azan. We need to produce, we need to have more capital. First thing, we need to have capital formation. Rufa has given me description. Capital formation is a term used to describe the net capital accumulation during an accounting period for a particular country. You're absolutely right. For that particular year, how much you accumulate is important, isn't it? If for any kind of a business, first thing is capital formation. How you form your capital matters a lot. Moksha says the amount of wealth a country adds to its capital during a period. You're absolutely right? So in that particular accounting here, how much capital can be invested? Any other answers? I know it takes time to type your answers. Anyone else? Right? We do need capital formation in order to do any kind of further production, right? What are the 3 things is important in order to do any kind of capital formation? What 3 steps did he mention at last? In the video. Creation of savings, you're right, Moksha. That was the first one, isn't it? You need to create saving. See, why does a capital, if you see in the features also, I did tell you that capital is a past labor. Unless a person starts earning first, who works as an employee under someone, who earns the money, saves the money, and then alone he can start up his own business with that money, isn't it? Right? And Moksha says mobilization of savings, you're right. That in what source are you saving also matters a lot. Are you simply saving, or in what source matters a lot? So first thing is creation of savings, second thing is mobilization, and Moksha tells me the next point as well, investments of savings. Shima also says that investments of savings, that you invest on the particular on a business. Again, suppose a particular person earns about 5 lakhs as as a return, he gets as a return from a business. Maybe he would have invested 3 lakhs in his business and he gets his return as 5 lakhs. What is the profit here? Hema Shri says capital formation is describe the money. You're right, Hema. Good. 2 lakhs. Correct, Sana. Rufa says 2 lakhs. Correct. Ume Adiba says 2 lakhs. Correct. So the 2 lakhs will be his profit. He will be again investing that on his business. So we understood what is capital, types of capital, and capital formation. Question time. Miss Mary, I forgot to frame any questions for them. What to do now?
Oh, Mrs. Anna, I don't think so. Our children are very bad at framing questions. They are very smart. Come on, children. It's time for you all to frame the question now.
Yeah, you're right, Miss Mary. It's always
It's not.
that
It's not.
I'm preparing the questions and they would be answering.
So
So
now
now over to them
to
to
prepare
prepare
questions
questions
and
and they would be answering.
come on, children. It's your time now to frame questions. You've learned about capital formation. You've learned about so many things about capital, and now you can frame a question. Uh, we'll form three questions because the time is running out. Any three questions from any of the slides which you all have seen, even in video or any slide.
Okay, Michelle.
Okay, Michelle is framed a question. What are the examples of capital formation? And Michelle, can you please suggest who has to answer your question? Michelle, can you hear me? Is my voice audible to you all?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Michelle. Your question is, what are the examples of capital formation? Can you please suggest anyone to answer your question?
Rufa, ma'am.
Yes, Rufa, go ahead.
Ma'am, tools, equipments. Yeah, ma'am. That's all I know.
Yes. Tools, capital formation. What are the examples of capital formation? I think Mrs. Anna had showed you a picture in one slide and given you an examples. No answer? Anybody else? Okay, Michelle, you give an answer now.
Ma'am, the answers are office buildings, equipment, tools, machinery, computers and computing technology, furniture, furniture and fixtures, factory and vehicles.
Okay, those are capitals, but what are the examples of capital formation? Yeah, the question was wrong and you didn't form the correct question. So you should have formed the
Sorry, ma'am.
question. What are the examples of capital? Okay, very good try, Michelle. Well done. Next question. What are the three stages of capital formation? Shima Sadia has asked this question. Shima, would you like to choose anybody to answer your question? Shima, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Choose any of your classmate to answer your question.
Ma'am, Sana can answer this question, ma'am.
Yes, Sana, go ahead. Sana, are you there?
Good morning,
Yes,
Sana.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm there.
Yes,
Um,
Sana. What are the three stages of capital formation?
ma'am, savings,
Yes, correct.
then mobilization of your savings and
Yes,
investment.
correct. Very good. Creation of savings, mobilization of savings, and the last one is
Investment of savings.
investment of savings. Very good answer. Well done, Sana. Next question, Prajwal is asked: is computer software a fixed capital? Prajwal, would you like to choose anybody to answer your question?
No, ma'am.
Choose someone from the class. Okay, you only answered the question.
I was the one who asked the question. I don't
Okay, now,
answer.
but you never suggested anybody to answer your question. Suggest someone from your class to answer your question. Time is running out.
I think even teachers can answer.
Yes.
So let me answer for this. Prajwal, how did you get this idea of software?
I just thought of it, ma'am.
Okay. Is it perishable or it can be sustained for a long time?
Maybe sustain for a long time. Maybe.
Maybe, right? Though, so there is an answer in your in your answer itself. Maybe, right? So that is not a fixed capital. Thank you.
Thank you, children. Very good in framing the question. Moving on to the next slide, thinking process. So it's time for you all to think now.
I know there are too many questions here which is being asked, but we don't have enough of time to answer all of them. But I'm very happy to see so many questions that has been framed by you. Thank you, children.
Yes, I think everybody can see the slide now. Thinking process. So it's time for you all to think. Lack of capital. A common reason a small business fails. So think about what are the lack of capital in economy, like small scale industries or large scale industries. You can take about the small businesses where small business are going under loss. You can connect to the present scenario. I'm giving you all time to think and come back for the next class. No, you all can think about it. Moksha says lack of management. Yes, yes, it's one of the important thing. Lack of management means, I think, they fail to plan. Mean lack of planning. Maybe that leads to lack of capital. Now I don't want any answers. I want you all to think about it, and in the next class, come up with how you will overcome lack of capital. Okay, children? Keep thinking, keep smiling, and have a good day. Over to Mrs. Anna.
Thank you, Miss Mary. Maybe I would like to give a small hint here about the lack of capital. You would have heard so many facility which is being assigned by RBI to all the large scale industries and the medium scale industries. But what about the small scale industries? What about the ones who are selling tomatoes on the road with a maybe vegetables, maybe a small provision stores where they don't have any kind of capital which is being considered or given by RBI. Yes, there are so many benefits which was given by RBI. Yes, they did have post payment of EMIs, right? So many other facilities was given. But what about these small scales? What about these? Yeah, think it over. That's why I said this is a thinking process. But I want to give you a small suggestion. What you're going to do now after this lockdown? Just a small request from my side. We are so hi-fi people. We do look for the supermarkets. We do look for Spencer's. We do look for DMart. We do look for Reliance. We do go for more. We do go for so many other supermarkets to buy vegetables, to buy any kinds of stuffs, isn't it? We will go only there, or maybe we can order online. My small suggestions for you, and you can also suggest this to your parents, that they would buy groceries or any kind of vegetables or any kind of provisions from this small outlets which are there on the roads. So that would actually help the people. It's actually that would actually increase their monetary benefits. Children, we only think about us. We only think about how comfortable I can be. Let me sit here and order for something online. Why should I even get out of the door? Why should I even go there? What if something happens to me? But there are very small unit of people who are not scared of any kind of virus that's around them. They feel it's better to go die with that virus instead of me starving to death. So that is their attitude as if now. That's why we see people not actually following the social distance, actually couldn't follow the government rules and regulations because they need food to survive at that particular day. Parents will be looking for their children. They would be looking to give them at least one meal a day. That was possible only when they go sell their vegetables or tomatoes or potatoes, whatever they have, they need to sell, or any kind of provision stores or anything. So what small help we can do is we can go down to these kind of shops who is really in need, buy some kinds of goods from them which we can use that can be helpful for them too, right? So with this small suggestions, I would just end my class. There is a message to you. I would like Shezan to read this for me. Shezan,
Yes, ma'am.
can you read this for me? Oh, Shezan is telling me, man, if we go out, police will do lathi charge. Lathi charge. You're right, Shezan, but I'm actually talking after the lockdown, right? After the lockdown, you
Okay,
can
ma'am.
go out and buy these goods from the poor people so they can also see some kind of benefits from us, right? That will also, as especially this Ramadan season, what is the main motive of yours is to give, correct?
Give.
So we are
Yes,
not
ma'am.
giving them anything freely, but we are buying goods from them so that maybe we don't have to bargain with them. We can buy exactly what they're selling for. Or instead of going for these supermarkets, maybe we would consider these kinds of shop to buy the goods and services. Correct? That's a small help from us, right? Shizan, can you read this for me so we can actually close with the class?
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm.
We hope our students will become better citizens of the world and have better
Oh,
appreciation of their own nation.
appreciation.
Okay.
Appreciation. Yeah.
Ha-
It's okay, Shizan. Come on, go ahead.
Appreciation of our own nation and community.
Right? So, our wish as teachers is always that you'll become the better citizens of our India, right? So
Thank
that
you,
you
ma'am.
become better, we can also be better, right? We can see someone who's a better citizen. It takes lots of effort to be a better citizen. It actually talks about all the aspects. Hope you understand and follow those.
Yes,
Moksha
ma'am.
says we shall follow the suggestions. Ria Miss is saying, good Shazam, right? Okay, thank you, children. And one more thing, one important thing I forgot to tell you all. Your invitation will be sent ahead of the time that has been assigned for you. But there is one request from our side is that you're not supposed to log in before the time. Just 5 minutes before you can log in and get inside your classes. You all are not supposed to log in before that, which will be a problem for you as well as us. Okay, so if your class is by 10 o'clock, 9:55 you can log in, or maybe 9:50 you can try login. Okay, logging in, so that you will know if any problem you can rectify. And if it's 11:30, 11:20 or 25 will do, or if it's 2:30, 2:25 or 2:20 will do. Okay, please don't log in. This morning also we had two children who have logged in. Okay, please don't do that mistake. Wait for the time and you can log in on dot. Okay, thank you children. Now you all may leave the class.
Ma'am,
Yes, Shezan.
ma'am, I finished my project, ma'am. I'm unable to submit it, ma'am.
Yeah, because the due date is over, isn't it? When was your due date?
Yesterday, ma'am.
Yeah, yesterday by 10 o'clock was your due day, right? Okay, I'll try to rectify that. Maybe I can get that from you later.
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, since you are finished, save it and keep
Yes,
it with you. I might ask you anytime. Fine?
yes.
Ma'am, for me
Thank you,
also, ma'am.
Shisa.
Thank
Okay,
you,
Hema,
ma'am.
I'll take it from you. Yes, Hema, I can hear you.
Ma'am, my project is over, ma'am.
Okay, Hema, I'll take it from you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Hema. Yes, children, you all can leave the class.
Good morning and thank you, ma'am.
Good morning and thank you, Mehdiba. Yes, children, thank you. Yes, you all can leave the class, children. Mama Dihar, Fardeen, Fardeen, you can leave the class. Fardeen, you can leave the class. Thank you.
Good
Good
morning,
morning,
sir.
sir.
Good
Good
morning,
morning,
Alpha
Alpha
ma'am.
ma'am. Thank you, sir. Thank you, one and all. Thank you.